The world of manga almost feels endless, and the feeling of discovering something new is the peak of excitement. So, if you're a manga or anime fan, I think you should watch this video for some awesome and awful manga recommendations that I definitely didn't randomly select for this video. First of all, I want to talk about one of my top favorites of all time, the star of this video, Dandadan. Even though I've already made a YouTube Shorts video about this manga, I can't help myself but to talk about it again because it truly deserves the attention. But while I was trying to write a script to describe this manga, I realized I can't describe it without sounding crazy. And even if I do describe it, it would not make sense at all. I mean, come on guys, how on earth can I possibly explain Dandadan's story? Takamura doesn't believe in ghosts, but he's obsessed with aliens, and Momo believes in ghosts and not aliens, so they challenge each other to go to these locations that are popular for ghost and alien sightings. And when Ken goes to the said tunnel, he sees an old evil ghost lady called Turbo Granny, who is a perverted horny ghost which later on in the story turns into a cute little cat, and also she can run pretty fast. While simultaneously there are creepy hentai aliens who want to perform the act of sex for research purposes by extracting Momo's womb, who is a high schooler. Then all of a sudden the boy who now has been cursed by Turbo Granny and has turned into a ghost comes out of the Momo's cell phone and bites off the alien's robotic PP and saves the day by being an even bigger weirdo. Like, really? Let me gobble your schlong? But that's not all. Momo now suddenly has this paranormal telekinesis energy because the aliens overstimulated her brainwaves. Then she fly kicks the alien and it makes the alien ship go boom. Then Takamura attacks Momo because he can't control his body. Then Momo exercises the evil ghost lady, making it leave the boy's body, but the ghost says she has his schlong, and if you want it back you have to come back to the tunnel, which is really dangerous. And then she develops a crush on my man Takamura while he's semi-naked. I told you there's no way to describe this manga without sounding like a crazy hentai addict. I also have to talk about its art style. Like, how is this manga even weekly? Just tell me how. Dandadan has one of the best arts I've ever seen in a while. So if you haven't read this manga, normally I would say that you should read this, but maybe you can wait a little bit more for the anime, and I have high hopes for it because the studio behind it made The Devilman Crybaby, which was amazing. But before we move to the next manga, I want to say that be sure to watch till the end because I saved the best one for last. So let's move on to the next manga, which is Blue Lock. So first of all, I want to talk about this art style, and I have the same question I had for Dandadan. How is this manga weekly? Some of the panels are actually crazy to look at, and it's just plain beautiful art. But besides this amazing art that goes insane of style, I believe Blue Lock has only one goal and one goal only, and it's to entertain the reader. And boy do I have good news for you, because this manga manages to do exactly that flawlessly. I have so much fun reading this manga and I just love it. And one other thing I really love about this manga is how every character is unique. I ask so many Blue Lock fans about their favorite character, and each time people say different characters, and that just shows how good the writing and the designs of the characters are. Personally, my favorite Blue Lock characters are Rin, Nagi, Hiyori, and Bachira. And the fact that none of them are the main character is wild. Also, let me know in the comments who is your favorite Blue Lock character. But yeah, even though the story is real simple, I'd say it's really hype. Don't sleep on it if you haven't read its manga or watched its anime. I know it can be a little bit silly, but that's the fun of the manga. Now let's talk about another manga that I read recently and I really enjoyed, but I had an incident with which kinda broke my heart. So much so that I made a YouTube short video about it that you can watch. But the long story short, first I made a YouTube short video about this manga called Sakamoto Days, and Shueisha copyright struck my video, which was unfair. That's why I was hesitant on making this video. But I say, you know what, fuck them corpos. But no, seriously, I hope they don't strike me for this video because I really like talking about manga and anime and manhwa and games. But anyway, yeah, Sakamoto Days is great. Another action-packed shonen manga with a decent story and a ton of interesting characters. Imagine if John Wick was an overweight Japanese man, but somehow even more badass. So if you haven't read this manga, I highly recommend it. Go read it. Now here's another action-packed shonen manga about assassins called Kindergarten Wars. The teachers in this kindergarten, which is considered as the safest place, are all former assassins and hitmen, and their job is to protect the kids of global elite and kids of CEOs and celebrities. At first glance, you might think that this is a very cute manga, which is true for most part, but it also gets really bloody. And I have to say that I really like the main character. She's a psychopath assassin who is looking for a handsome boyfriend. Don't you find a cute girl brutally murdering young young handsome boys who are also assassins just because they don't watch movies hilarious, but I can't stop reading it. It's genuinely fun. Okay, now the next manga that I'm going to talk about is a bit heavy, and it's not really a fun to read manga because it tells an extreme story of a weird creepy boy's mistakes. And I'm talking about Onanie master Kurosawa. The manga starts by one of the weirdest panels I've ever seen. Literally in the first panel of the first chapter of the manga, we see Kurosawa, who is the main character, in girls' toilet of his high school doing something disgusting. I can't go into details here, but he's basically pleasuring himself by imagining his girl classmates. I know what you're thinking. Armin, what the fuck is this manga? Listen to me, let this manga cook. Because I was in your place before reading this, and the thought of how this manga can be good made me actually read it. I was curious. And it's debatable if this manga is good or not, or is worth reading. You see, it's really hard to actually describe this manga and defend it because the main plot of the story is really extreme, and it's about sexual harassment. A disgusting and awful action which no one should condone, by the way, but we can try to acknowledge the type of message this manga is trying to convey. Forgiving. Now, whether or not we should forgive sexual harassment is a whole nother talk, but the way I see it, it's about if the criminal regrets their choices and have changed for better. Also, Kurosawa was a 14-year-old lonely boy who didn't know any better and had no one to guide him through tough times, and he got blackmailed by another outcast weirdo. Even though it's hard to recommend this manga, I'm actually curious about what you guys think of it. Let me know if you have read this manga. Okay, this next manga that I want to talk about is one of those weird ones. Watashi no wa reitoku nemutteiru, or my husband is sleeping in the freezer. Well, the manga starts by the wife killing her husband, and then she's feeling happy and free and relieved. And you're like, what the hell? I just started reading this, what is going on? Then you soon realize that it's about domestic violence and the wife wanted to save herself. Then after she kills her husband, everything seems okay, but all of a sudden, the day after, her husband comes back to the house without any injuries. That's the whole premise of this manga. It was actually a short manga with 14 chapters, and I was glad that it wasn't any longer than that. This manga had a great start, a great mystery. You're constantly wondering who is this man who looks like her husband. Is it a ghost? Is it a doppelganger? Has the woman gone crazy? Like, what is going on? But slight spoiler alert. Skip ahead if you wanna read this manga for yourself, but the plot twist, in my opinion, was so stupid and disappointing and underwhelming. The one thing that I was hoping to not be the answer ended up being the answer and was just... oh my god. But for this amount of chapters, I would say it was a fun experience. The art style was decent. It also kinda reminded me of the manga called Blood on the Tracks, which no, I am not going to talk about that shit again because I like my sanity. Now it's time for the greatest manga of all time. Truly the magnum opus of human history. The manga that redefined the shonen... No. I'm not doing this shit again. I don't have energy for this. But seriously, do you remember KaguraBachi? Somehow it feels like I'm the only one who's reading this. And here's my honest opinion. What the fuck is this? No, but seriously, I have to give credit where the credit is due. The art style is pretty good. And as for the story, the start of this manga is kinda all over the place. You suddenly realize that the MC is looking for some kind of mystical sword, and there are like a lot of Japanese names that they constantly refer to, and you're wondering what the heck they're talking about. And slowly but surely, you start to piece it together and figure out this manga's word design. I mean, the story is not complicated at all, but somehow their narrative is, as I said before, all over the place. And it's quite fast-paced, and so many things start happening back to back. I actually really love the aesthetic of this manga, and the designs and the edginess. It's like Yakuza fights if they had shonen powers, and it's really cool to see because it looks like there are so many interesting powers and ideas put into this manga. But overall, I had fun reading this manga, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Next one is one of those weird ones. I swear, I've been saying this for all of them, and it's MarriageToxin. We have this MC who is from a clan of assassins who work with poisons and toxins, and he's weirdly dedicated to his job. So one day after work, his sister tells him that grandma wants you to marry and have kids so the clan can live on. But the dude says, hell no, I ain't gonna continue this bloodline. Also, his sister is a lesbian, so she also doesn't want to marry a guy. And one thing leads to another, and the MC figures out that he has to marry to save her sister from a forced marriage, so he gets some help from a weird ass girl who I'm not entirely sure if she's a girl, but anyways, that's the entire premise of MarriageToxin. Pretty simple and straightforward. I haven't read all of it yet, but the start of this manga was pretty interesting and the art style is also pretty good. Maybe I keep reading it, I don't know. Now let's talk about something that I least expected to be actually good, and it's Zetman. Not gonna lie, I love the design of the main character, he looks so dope. So the story is about this boy named Jin who looks like your average homeless dude, but he possesses a supernatural ability. He has so much strength because he's actually Zet. I love the part when he Zetted all over the place. I don't want to reveal too much of the story because it's actually a good story in my opinion. Zetman is one of my favorite anti-heroes and his character is really interesting and entertaining. This manga is really dark because shit happens. I don't know how popular this manga is, but personally I haven't seen anyone talk about it and give it attention it deserves, probably because it has a shitty anime. So don't watch this anime. Now, remember how I said I saved the best for last, but this one is actually one of my top favorite mangas of all time. For a reference, here's my 3x3 manga list. So before I say anything about this manga, I want to say that I highly recommend it. And if you want to read it, be sure to pour a cup of tea or a beverage of your choice, then be comfy and then start reading. Because unlike most of the previous mangas that I talked about in this video, this one is best described as a calm, light and a bittersweet manga. It is a science fiction slice of life, but there's no spaceships or mechs or aliens or anything like that here. The story is set in a future after an unspecified disaster that made the sea levels rise, resulting in declining of humanity. And we see our main character named Alpha, who is a unique type of robot who is capable of feeling emotions. She runs a small coffee shop called Cafe Alpha, and she's waiting for her owner to come back after she went on a mysterious journey. And throughout the story, we see Alpha's journey on how she makes new friends and meets the old ones, and each time she learns or experiences something new, something sweet. One thing I really like about this manga is how it can easily transfer this bittersweet emotion to the readers. From life lessons Alpha comes across to the calm and peaceful environment and the serene art style and its heartwarming moments that the characters make. I love Alpha's character. She has this childlike innocence with a mixture of ladylike maturity. Her design, just like many other characters in this series, is simple but at the same time deeply expressive. I know I can't keep talking about this manga in this video despite how much I want to. That's why I really want to make an exclusive video just for this manga and talk a bit more about it because it's truly special. So I highly recommend Yokohama Kaidashi Kikou or Yokohama shopping list to anyone who's looking for something calm and heartwarming. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. I think I'm gonna keep making this type of videos talking about mangas and manhwa and stuff because I really enjoy it. There are so many other mangas and manhwas I want to talk about and even some games, and I want to share my experience with you guys. But if you're still watching, I want to let you know that I am super grateful and I have to say thank you for watching my video and I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these mangas or if you're going to. Next up I'm going to talk about some of my own personal favorites, like my favorite manga or my favorite anime / light novel, so consider subscribing to my channel if you're interested or if you like this video. And as always, see you in the next one.